Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we are talking about the mother archetype, the mother complex, and specifically how your relationship with this figure shapes your relationships. I know we're a little late for Mother's Day, but I still wanted to make sure that we got the episode out this week. Now, first I want to say is our relationship with our mother is the most formative, is the most important in our development. She's the first relationship that we have here on this earthly plane. And depending on how that relationship went really coincides with how you view the feminine in general, your sense of being nurtured, your sense of safety in the world. Now, the mother in her lightest form is the life giver. She's the soul nourisher. It's our connection to the earth and matter. It's the first relationship where we are hopefully fully seen and known. We grow inside of our mother's bodies. And for better or for worse, we inherit a lot of what has happened in the maternal line. And the egg that created you was actually in your grandmother's body. Because when your mother was growing inside of your grandmother's body, embryos are already born with all of the eggs they're ever going to have. When your mother's fetus was 20 weeks old, she had 6 million eggs ready to go, and you were one of them. And another thing to note is that our nervous system wiring starts in utero, meaning your mother's nervous system programmed you from the moment you were conceived. Also, you need to understand that epigenetically, you are inheriting any passed down trauma, stress. Your grandmother and your mother, and even as far back as I want to say it's like 4 or 5 generations, you are inheriting all of the data from that maternal line, all of the trauma, all of the experiences. And it's been shown in epigenetics that this will actually turn certain genes on or off and gives a very specific coding. And this is evolutionary, right? If there are a certain amount of traumas that are going on in a family line, you want to pass that information down to the offspring. However, this can be tough when your mother or that ancestral line has gone through a lot of trauma. Not saying that you're doomed with your maternal line's nervous system and all of their trauma and there's nothing you can do. There's absolutely something you can do. This is why we do shadow work. There's a lot of plasticity in your brain and in your nervous system to essentially rewire these patterns. But not just before birth are you inheriting all of this information, but it's also about how you're regulating with your mother after birth. For example, if you had a dysregulated mother, perhaps there was ancestral trauma, perhaps she was neurodivergent, there might be struggles when it comes down to soothing you as a baby. And this co-regulation helps us later on to be able to regulate our own nervous system. So if you didn't get that co-regulation in the beginning of your life, it can essentially pass down that dysregulation. But not only that, all throughout your formative years, your subconscious mind is programmed for the most part by the time you're 8. But even throughout, I would say like preteen and teenage areas, like the relationship with your mother has so much to do with how you show up in relationships later in your life. So yes, if your mother was perhaps cold or detached, you might have more of an avoidance response to people, not necessarily knowing or feeling comfortable attuning with people intimately, whether that be in a romantic relationship, whether that be in a sexual relationship. A lot of times this can develop into an avoidant attachment pattern. Essentially, for a long enough time, you felt like your needs weren't important enough to be met, therefore they shouldn't be met, and therefore you don't actually feel safe in connection with another person. Now, the way that you can work with this is, yes, through shadow work, you want to get to the core beliefs around intimacy, safety, and connection. But really, this is a nervous system repatterning that needs to happen. And if this is the case for you and you're like, yes, intimacy feels unsafe, it feels scary, I don't know why I shut down around it. This is where somatic therapy can be really, really beneficial. Also, co-regulation with safe people in your life. And safe people for your nervous system are people that allow you your space, but they also stay emotionally available to you. You can also practice micro vulnerability, for example, reaching out to a friend when you're not feeling great. And even saying, hey, listen, I don't need advice, I just need presence. Opening yourself up to more touch as well, like getting a massage or getting body work done on a regular basis. Another big one is getting therapy or getting a coach, because the container of being seen by somebody else and being able to practice that co-regulation with somebody else can be so beneficial. This happens a lot in my coaching containers, is that there's essentially a repatterning going on that person's relationship to feminine presence. Because therapists or coaches, we care, but we also respect your autonomy and sovereignty. We'll listen to you, we'll hear you. The key is finding somebody that you feel like you jive with and you feel safe with. Another thing is just challenging your core beliefs around this, that let's say emotions are weak. That's a big one. Ask yourself, what is the cost of continuing this belief in my life? Okay, the next flavor of, let's say, the wounded mother or unattuned mother is the devouring mother. The devouring mother loves you so much. She will project her unmet needs on her child. She's often anxious, martyr-like, and just emotionally overwhelming. She confuses love with control and neediness to closeness. This can show up like a helicopter parent, a codependent parent, or emotional incest. And this can look a little bit different depending on the gender that the child was raised as. For example, a mother with her female child might be living her unlived life through this daughter. Kind of like the mother with no boundaries who just wants to be besties with her daughter and hangs out with her and her friends and is overly involved, or maybe snoopy, or really just doesn't allow for her child to have an identity on her own that hasn't been orchestrated by the mother. Sometimes this happens with mothers and their son. If, let's say, the husband is absent, unavailable, perhaps there was a divorce, that the mother will project her unmet emotional needs onto her son. The son basically becomes the man of the house. And this can be detrimental to boys, because then they will grow up always feeling like they have to save women. Their job is never to be their own individual person. And for girls that are raised by this kind of mother, you'll either see that they will grow up without a sense of autonomy, meaning they're gonna lack a lot of confidence in their life, and they might end up with partners that are also controlling, that also don't let them be their own person because they never got that chance at development, so that's what they're used to. But yeah, the devouring mother is kind of insidious, because on the surface, it looks like she just loves you so much. So from a nervous system level, your nervous system kind of learns to be like, being close means I completely lose myself, and being separate means like I'm bad or I'm selfish. That's the thing too. The devouring mother loves a guilt trip. So there's a lot of guilt built into the relationship with the mother. Folks that grow up with this kind of mother might go into either a freeze or a fawn state when presented with intimacy. Meaning in moments of conflict or emotional intensity, you might tend to disassociate or shut down. You might be more likely to tell white lies or appease as much as possible in order to avoid guilt or letting people down. There's almost this exaggerated people-pleasing mask that gets crystallized. Also, I tend to find with these types, there is a lot of repressed anger. There's also a deep desire for freedom, but also fear of doing anything outside of the bounds of what everybody else wants them to do. They also might have like a good boy or good girl complex when it comes down to the way that they show up in romantic relationships or their sexuality. They're essentially programmed to please. If this experience resonates with you, a lot of shadow work is going to be crucial, honoring things like grief and anger and really allowing yourself to feel those emotions that you weren't able to feel when you were young. I work with a lot of clients that have gone through this. What's also important is your own inner mothering and creating a relationship with the divine mother archetype that you can access within you. And really, for any of these scenarios I'm talking about today, building a relationship with our inner mother archetype is so incredibly important. So the last wounded, unattuned mother archetype that I'm going to talk about is the possessive mother. This is kind of like the devouring mother, but on steroids. This isn't wrapped up in I love you. You genuinely feel like I am owned by my mother. Your success is her pride. Your pain is her shame. Your autonomy is a threat to her identity. Your boundaries are a betrayal to her. She'll say things like, I gave everything up for you after everything I've done for you. Or she will perhaps even be emotionally abusive and pick at you, tell you you're not good enough, shame you constantly. Some people might call this like a narcissist mother, but essentially she is emotionally abusive. She doesn't look at you like your own independent sovereign being. She looks at you simply as an extension of herself. Her needs will always come before you, and essentially she programs you to hate yourself and feel small. This is by far the most developmentally traumatic and can have a lot of lasting effects on the psyche, the shadow, and the nervous system. So a lot of the same stuff that we just talked about with the devouring mother, but there might be some more fight, there might be some more flight, hyper avoidance, running away from relationships, unconscious mindless like promiscuity, risky sex. It can look like always moving or changing environments, never wanting to be pinned down. It can also create a rebellious or combative type of personality trait. And this can turn even darker into actually taking on some of those narcissistic traits. And understanding that narcissism is essentially an overcrystallization of the ego for survival reasons. It's almost an overemphasis on one's self-perception and identity as a means of staying safe in an environment. So you might find people that are raised by abusive narcissist parents might also take on some of that conditioning, at least for a while. A lot of people heal from this. This is not a unique experience, unfortunately. And to rebalance and clear this programming and rewire your psyche and nervous system, you're gonna have to do all of the things I talked about earlier in this episode. Co-regulation, somatic therapy, getting a coach or therapist. And I just wanna say, guys, all of these aren't overnight solutions. This true deep work generally takes at least a few years of really putting your attention towards it. Now, before we go, I'm going to give you a mother archetype active imagination visualization exercise. Definitely don't do this while you're driving. If there's lots of distractions around, maybe pause and save this and do it in a place where you are comfortable with no distractions. Basically, in this exercise, we are going to meet the projection that you have right now in your conscious mind of mother, and then we are going to bring in the divine mother archetype within you so that you can feel the difference of this energy. And this is the starting point for building the relationship with your own inner mother in your psyche to begin taking care of yourself and giving yourself the attunement and the nurturing that you needed in childhood. Close your eyes and take a few deep, cleansing breaths. Feel the rise and fall of your breath, feeling your body relax. Moving into balance as breath flows in and out. With every exhale, feel your body sinking deeper and deeper, relaxed. Let every muscle and nerve in your body just let go. Move your awareness into your imagination, letting all of the cares of the day fall away as you enter your creative place in your mind.
Imagine now moving into a beautiful place, anywhere in nature that feels comfortable and joyful for you. Whether you're at a beach, in a large field, maybe in a forest or a garden, by a lake or waterfall, pick your perfect place. And in this place, you are going to work with your mother archetype. I want you to imagine now emerging from this place a faint image, hard to see, maybe blurry. This image is coming towards you. It's a feminine image coming closer and closer, and as she becomes more clear, she emerges in front of you, colored with your personal history at first. Notice the quality of this feminine presence. Notice how you feel with her. What emotions come up for you while in the presence of the mother image? Notice how close you want to get to this image, or maybe how you want to pull away. Notice if there's any symbols or what she's wearing. This gives you information about your current Earth Mother archetype based on your personal history. Since you have brought this part of you to consciousness, maybe there are things about your own Earth Mother in this life that you've experienced that you want to be free of, the story of your past. You want to transcend personal history and connect directly to the pure, divine mother archetype within you. So allow as though a veil has been lifted and use your imagination to transform this mother image into the divine mother. You can use a symbolic person from your own religious history or something fresh and new. Feel the power of the presence of this divine mother archetype. Notice if there's any changes in how you feel or how you interact with this new, transformed archetype. Imagine that you can build a dialogue and build a closer relationship with your mother archetype, the divine mother within you. This divine mother is connected to all of the divine mother, collectively to everyone. Build your personal connection and ask some questions. If you need affection or words of wisdom, imagine this mother archetype can be that divine mother to you. As you interact with the mother archetype, imagine she represents how you see the world, how friendly the world appears to you. As you transform this image in your mind, the way you interact with the world will change. Your perception of things that happen to you will change. Your perception of people who enter your life will change. And even the perception of your own mother, your biological mother, will transform. I'm going to give you a few moments and some free time to spend with this archetype however you like. You can go on a journey together, visit the future, get insight into a path, or just spend time feeling connected. Do that now while I am quiet. before you leave and say goodbye to this divine mother within you, she has a special gift for you, and it's going to come in the form of a symbol or a note or maybe a verbal message. Receive that gift now. Now, say goodbye. Thank her for entering your conscious awareness. Look for her in dreams and other visualizations, and you can use this process anytime you like to connect with your divine feminine energy, the divine mother within you. Now, when you're ready to slowly come back in the room and open your eyes, take a deep breath in, stretch, and smile.
Welcome back. Take a moment and journal anything that came up for you. If you want to share what came up for you, feel free to send me an email, leave a comment if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're interested in going deeper in this work, I do offer one-on-one coaching containers where we work more with this archetype. We do shadow work and completely reprogram your psyche and your nervous system to be able to hold more safety and connection, self-nurturance, self-love. Appreciate you being here, and I will see you next time.